This game is full of different ways to end a match, and there's something exclusively satisfying about doing it with a brutal kick. You can find that satisfaction in today's video, where we prepared many of the lethal kicks that ended the match instantly. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and of course, enjoy the content. A front kick to the face can be a dangerous weapon that knocks the opponent out of consciousness in seconds when thrown with a dose of surprise. Speaking of surprises, no one could have thought that Michael Chandler would knock out Tony Ferguson like this. In his 35 fights, El Cucuy was never completely knocked out. However, the last man who came close to beating him with the KO was Justin Gaethje, who had to unleash an entire arsenal of punches to try and remove him from the octagon. But Tony still didn't go down in the end. Ferguson can take any shot he sees, no matter how hard it is. But Chandler was unpredictable with his offense at that point, and Tony's toughness was not ready for it. People feel insulted when talking about these types of kicks if Anderson Silva isn't used as an example, so don't be mad guys, here he is. Only old UFC fans can know what aped many title defenses. He surprisingly shut down his compatriot Vitor Belfort in a match that started boringly and ended abruptly, with Silva going home with the knockout of the night bonus, leaving his opponent unconscious by sudden front kick straight to the chin. 7 years later, poor old Vitor was again the victim of the same kick, only this time it was done by his fellow countryman, Lyoto Machida. The karate master and former UFC light heavyweight champion ended Belfort's career in 2018 when he knocked him out of the MMA cage, straight into retirement with a clever move. Making strange hand movements, he succeeded in confusing Vitor and sending a front kick identical to Silva's. Belfort was not ready for the strike, and his chin, which was probably worn out after 40 fights, had to falter. However, Lyoto demonstrated how to pack and serve karate skills, then showed sportsmanship when he bowed and knelt in front of an unconscious opponent. You have the right to guess whose name is closely associated with murders made possible by high kicks. We'll give you a hint. His right leg is hospital, and his left leg is cemetery. Of course, it is Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic. Mirko was the epitome of fear and tremble with his K1 skill, which he transferred to MMA matches. That's how it was in the semifinals of Pride's openweight tournament in 2006, where he brutally knocked out Vanderlei Silva with his left leg, causing a huge cut on his head to proceed to the finals. The Pride days were nothing short of brutal, and if you ever feel stupid, just remember that they paired the Mexican pro wrestler with a 3-3 record against Filipovic, who destroys people for a living. Dos Caras timidly circled around Mirko and had a couple of takedown attempts that did not worry the Croatian fighter at all. Only 46 seconds into the fight, Mirko cornered the wrestler, threw him a high kick that immediately knocked him unconscious, and then treated him to one additional and unnecessary punch just to make sure he was out. After such a kick, it's a miracle that the mask remained on the Mexican's head. Not even a month before that, Mirko secured a 2003 Knockout of the Year when he annihilated Igor Vovchanchyn with a completely identical move. The only difference is that he needed an extra 46 seconds for the Ukrainian, unlike the Mexican. But Igor also received an extra blow while unconscious. This seems to be a tradition with Mirko. Live by the sword, die by the sword. After years of competing in Pride, Mirko appeared in the UFC, where in his second match, he fell victim to his own signature move. In the title elimination fight, his opponent was the formidable Gabriel Gonzaga. The Brazilian managed to take down Mirko and hit him with a couple of elbows, but after, Herb Dean raised him in a standing position where Mirko was supposed to get the job done, but Gonzaga delivered a perfect right high kick to knock out Cro Cop, whose fall to the ground was horrific. Bellator 2 has brutal high kick knockouts, and one of them landed right on the head of Ben Saunders at the 100th event of his organization. His opponent was Douglas Lima, who's known for his bloodthirsty kicks. If you've ever watched him hit the pads, then you understand. For 2 rounds, Douglas managed to paint his opponent's face with blood, and all this to remove him 30 seconds before the end with an attractive 2-shot combination that he started with a liver punch and ended with a nasty high kick. We know you've seen Leon Edwards' impressive high kick many times by now, but you can never get enough of this knockout angle. After being dominated through 5 rounds, Edwards had only one way to the title: to eliminate the champion with a quick finish. That's how it was. And after 24 minutes of losing the fight, Leon serves Usman's head on a plate in the last minute, showing how dangerous a striker he is, and won the welterweight title he had been waiting for years. We'll throw in an incredible kick that knocked out the veteran kickboxing star Badr Hari. His opponent was Peter Graham, who, 10 seconds before the end, performed an attractive jumping spinning kick, spilling the Moroccan on the floor in the quarterfinals of the tournament in 2006. Ha! Those brutal days of K1. Speaking of kickboxing, we don't see every day how someone brutally knocks out a kickboxing star like Giorgio Petrosyan. But Superbon did his homework to become the first ever one featherweight kickboxing world champion. Some heads are so tough they just don't want to fall. Yoel Romero is a living example of that, as he can eat heavy high kicks for lunch. But when the head is durable, aim for something softer and shoot to the body. The former Bellator champion is a master of these moves. Let's remember how Koreshkov ruined the debut of Vasil Bakacevic with a spinning back kick straight to the body. Bakacevic bounced off the cage fence, collapsed, and curled on the floor in the first round. Looking at the second but identical knockout of Koreshkov, we can see that Vasil Bakacevic fared much better than Chance Rencontre. When Andre connected his spinning kick, he not only knocked out his opponent, but also hospitalized him. Chance received 5 broken ribs and a punctured lung after only 40 seconds of the fight, leaving him on the bench for some time. Koreshkov is a doctor for quick removal of opponents in an attractive way. The UFC has its own version of Andre Koreshkov, a well-known kicker from Brazil, Edson Barboza. He showed his striking art again against Dan Hooker, who was always too tough for his own good. Although the Australian fighter received a barrage of kicks to the stomach, it's really incredible how he stood until the 3rd round. But Edson was, as always, surgically precise. And Hooker finally folded after a body punch that would not have been possible if Edson had not thrown countless kicks to the body. So, 4 years later, he hit Evan Dunham with a powerful right kick, which, unlike Dan Hooker, did not require a lot of blows. Evans couldn't even pretend not to feel the hit, and the referee was mean enough to allow Edson to pepper his opponent with extra punches. Let's not forget the girls either, especially Stam Fairtex, whose body kick echoed through the year 2023 at One Championship. After 2 belligerent rounds against Elisa Anderson, Fairtex throws a perfect projectile to the opponent's body, which, according to the commentator, folded Anderson like origami. If you need a textbook example of an effective and powerful middle kick, learn from Fairtex. Whoever thinks that high kick knockouts are painful has never received a low kick. Justin Gaethje managed to knock out 2 Bryans with his merciless leg kicks at WSOF events. The first victim was Brian Cobb, whose legs stopped working after 3 rounds with Gaethje. And luckily for him, the referee was there to do his job properly. The second Bryan was Brian Foster, who couldn't last longer than the first round because Justin was chopping him all the way to the finish. The match lasted a short time but was painful to watch, and Foster could not get up even during the referee's decision. Justin has 3 knockouts by this method in the WSOF organization. The last victim was Luis Palomino, whom Gaethje cut down like a tree in the 3rd round of the fight, and then cemented another title defense with additional punches. If his low kicks are this sharp, we can't even imagine what it would look like if he hits the opponent's head. Actually, we can, and Dustin Poirier can tell us more about that. At the Bellator event, MVP needed just 26 seconds to knock out Goiti Yamauchi with a low kick. What's unusual is that Michael hit the kneecap of the opponent instead of the thigh, and in the video, we can see how his bones were crushed, and his leg immediately shut down. It is not necessary for the kick to land on the thigh or kneecap. Some fighters like Martin Nguyen can hit much lower with even greater efficiency. It didn't take long for him to devastate his opponent's leg with his calf kicks, and to follow up the attack with a spectacular flying knee to finish the fight. Here's a calf kick finish from the PFL event in 2022 as well. Simeon Powell abused his opponent, Paulo Fagundes, with his kicks, who decided in the 2nd round that he had had enough because he literally couldn't stand. Fagundes, just like Gaethje's opponent, could not stand during the announcement of the winner. They say legs are the foundation of our bodies, and by bombarding the foundations, fighters will be unable to stand and therefore can't continue to fight. What a clever way to win the match. Calf kicks are truly revolutionary because they can take much less damage than the upper leg. If you haven't had enough kicking finishes, here are a few more examples with attractive moves that will bring us to the end of today's video.
His corner, the London shoot fighter screaming at him, telling him to take it seriously, and there's a spinning kick.
Even on total strikes at the moment.
We hope you enjoyed the large number of knockouts we prepared for you, and don't forget to like the video if you did. Comment which ones are your favorites, and feel free to comment on any knockouts we missed so other people can look them up and see them. These topics are always endless, and thank you for staying until the end of our video. Remember to keep your guard up, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.